Hey everyone. I'm here to vent about my cheating wife and how sick I am of her putting herself first without a second thought for me and our 7-year-old son. Me and Tanya have been married 17 years. We built a life together and I loved her to the ends of the world. Not so much anymore, though. I always put Tanya first, supported her in her career, and did everything I could to make her happy. Life wasn't always easy, though. My wife often had to work late, but I gladly picked up the slack taking care of our son. I dropped him off at school, attended all of his functions and sports events, and made sure he felt loved and supported. Tanya, on the other hand, has never even set foot in our son's school, let alone attended his functions. 4 years ago, I installed a GPS tracker in both my wife's car and mine in case they ever got stolen or whatever. I don't live in the best neighborhood. Earlier this year, the GPS tracker came in handy. I was curious, so I checked the locations Tanya's car had been in and saw that there were a few times when it was parked at different hotels around town. It was suspicious because we've never stayed in any hotels together and Tanya has never brought anything up in conversation about her going to any hotels either. I got really paranoid that Tanya was getting into some kind of mischief, and I started following her around like a crazy stalker. My worst fears came true, and I discovered that my wife had been cheating on me with multiple of her coworkers. I couldn't believe it. I felt like my entire world had crumbled around me. What hurt the most was finding out that my wife never really had to work late. Instead, she was giving blowjobs to a coworker in his van and going to hotels with another guy. I had always believed she was putting her career first, and I had encouraged her, but instead she was putting her vagina first. When I confronted her with the evidence, I asked for a family meeting to discuss our issues. Her response? She moved out and we split custody of our son. Whenever my son was at Tanya's new place, he would call me incessantly, begging to come home. It was heartbreaking to hear him in so much pain, but he was miserable when he was with his mother. He said she constantly yelled at him for everything and didn't want to help him with schoolwork and never wanted to play games or do anything with him. She always said she was too busy and just sat around on her phone all day. Most of the time she would just dump him off at his grandmother's anyway. After 2 months separated, my wife had a change of heart. She believed that co-parenting while living in the same house would be the best for our son, so I allowed her to come back and live with me. Our son was much happier to be back living full-time with me, and I was too. Tanya didn't try to become a better mother or wife. She continued to go out regularly while I stayed home, taking care of our child. This went on for another month before I realized that I could no longer live with her. I've meticulously gathered evidence of her infidelity. I have everything documented, from call records to voice recordings. I even have proof that she lied about being with her mother when she was meant to be looking after our son who was sick at the time. Instead, she had dropped our son off at her mother's and gone out with a guy. I was so angry when I found out. How could a woman be so selfish and neglectful of her only child? Recently, I had to work late, and my wife claimed she had to do the same. Her car still has the GPS tracker, and I could plainly see she was not at work. Instead, she was out drinking in a club. Now I'm faced with a complicated situation. Both our names are on the house, but I'm the one who put in the blood, sweat, and tears to build this house with my own 2 hands. My wife is in debt, and there was no prenuptial agreement put in place when we got married. The thought of losing it all because of her actions is eating me up inside. I plan to divorce this awful, neglectful woman, and I'm still gathering evidence, day in and day out. She is definitely not the girl I fell in love with and married all those years ago. I don't know what happened to my sweet, loving Tanya, but somewhere along the way, she was lost. Every time she goes out, I document it meticulously. I know that the road ahead is going to be tough, but I'm determined to protect my son and my assets from this nightmare of a situation. I don't know what the future holds for me. If any of you have been through something similar or have any words of wisdom to offer, please share them. I need all the support and guidance I can get. Thank you for taking the time to listen.